Welcome to The Planet Forward with Preetha, conversations for a greener future, the place where we ignite discussions and uncover innovations driving us towards sustainability. Every episode, join your host Preetha as we explore the stories, ideas, and pioneers making a real difference in our world. Get ready to be inspired, learn, and be a part of the change that propels us forward to a greener tomorrow.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Planet Forward with Preetha, Conversations for a Greener Future. I'm your host, Preetha Prabhakar, and today we have a truly inspiring guest with us, Monisha Krishna, co-founder of Sacred Groves, a groundbreaking initiative dedicated to protecting our planet's natural habitats through innovative economic models and community-driven conservation efforts. Sacred Groves is a community interest company that has created a platform for environmentally conscious individuals and companies to participate in the conservation of natural habitats. Monisha, driven by a passion to make a difference, co-founded Sacred Groves to address the alarming rates of deforestation and habitat degradation. Despite her background in finance and not being qualified environmentalist, Monisha's commitment to the planet led her to build a global community of guardians who support this mission. Today, we'll dive into Monisha's journey, the impact of Sacred Groves, and how they are enabling individuals and organizations to make meaningful climate action. We all explore how Sacred Groves is leveraging unique approaches like tokenization and partnerships to drive innovation in conservation. Monisha, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you today?
I am very well and very excited about today's conversation. And thank you, Preetha, for having me.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. You know, when I was reading through the wonderful stuff you and your organization is doing, I feel so blessed that I have an individual like you as on my podcast, because sending this beautiful message to across the world, more and more people can join this movement and make a difference to our Mother Earth. So with that, I want to ask the first question I have for you is, can you share the story behind Sacred Groves? What inspired you to transition from a finance career to co-founding this impactful environmental initiative?
It's always a journey, isn't it? So
Yes.
As a family, my family loves to travel. So most of our travel has been has been nature-based travel. So now this incident really sticks in my mind. In 2008, we went for a family holiday to Bali. I mean, it's a beautiful place. Yes. It's renowned for all its coral and marine life and all that. So as part of the trip, we were to go out into the ocean and view the corals. Now, when we went out there, unfortunately, what we saw was bleached coral. And I kid you not, the color of bleached coral is like the color of white cement, and it is absolutely heartbreaking. So my kids were very young at the time, and we were all hoping to see bright, colorful coral and fish and all of that. And when we saw that, it really hit us like a sledgehammer. And it made us as a family think about what we are doing to the planet as humanity, as a collective. So that triggered off a series of small, but I think meaningful actions in our own home, starting with completely minimizing plastic and, in a sense, a ban on plastic as far as possible. That was one. Things like composting, we learned how to compost our kitchen waste and whatever could be composted. So the objective was really to minimize waste in our own home. So number one, conscious consumption. So only buy what you really need. Number two, minimize waste. Do not buy single-use plastic and things like that. And whatever has come into the house, how can we dispose it of responsibly? So we got onto this journey, and the more we did, the more we felt it was not enough. We really wanted to make a larger and larger impact. So, cut to a few years later, and we said, we've been noticing that a lot of natural habitats, a lot of pristine old growth forests are getting destroyed all over the world. Because, as I said, it's a journey. And as we kept educating ourselves, we came across this horrific statistic that every 6 seconds, the world loses a soccer field equivalent of primary forest, which basically means in about the 1 hour or so that you and I are chatting, the world would have lost more than 1,000 acres of pristine primary forest.
Oh my God.
It is absolutely horrific. So on one side, we had this stat. And then when we read a little more, it's a very simple solution. We stop or halt or reduce deforestation and forest degradation. Now, I use the word forest very loosely. So forests include all natural habitats, whether they are wetlands, whether they are coastal
mangroves, all of that.
Mangroves. I mean, the whole gamut of natural habitats that that exist in nature and have a purpose in nature. We're losing them at a crazy pace. So that's where the whole thought began. And then we were at a loss. Okay, where do we begin? How do we go about this? So, as I said, we love to do a lot of nature travel. We had another family holiday, this time in 2019, to the northeastern state of Meghalaya in India, where and we visited in the pouring monsoons in the month of July. Now, as part of our tour, or as part of our itinerary, we were to visit a sacred forest, which is a place called Mawphlang, just outside the city, the capital city of Shillong. Now, when we went there, we were guided by a member of the Khasi tribe, and there were very strict rules. You can take nothing into the forest, and you can bring nothing out of the forest. So you cannot pick up a dried leaf or a stone or a twig, nothing, because it's a place of worship. So that's really when, I mean, the story still gives me goosebumps.
It's like how they have, it's like a divine source for them, a forest. That's
Absolutely.
how much they, respect Mother Earth there.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
And, so that was, we went in as, so to say, tourists, and we came out converted. And we realized as city folk, a lot of us are city folk, we've lost that deep connection with nature. Is there a way we can reestablish our connection with nature? And as we, again, delved more into the subject, we found that there are sacred forests the world over, right? It's not just in India. There are thousands of sacred forests in different cultures. And that was really the genesis of the name as well. That is why we are called sacred groves, as a tribute to the sacred forest we visited and what sacred forests represent to a whole range of people from different cultures. So that's really the genesis of the sacred groves.
That is so inspiring, how, what happened in 2008 that started your complete, shift to thinking about Mother Nature. And then recently your travel to Meghalaya actually showed how people are taking care of Mother Earth. They, as a divine mother, and that's exactly how they were respecting her. And that actually motivated you to start Sacred Groves with the same name, Sacred. Oh my God, that's so inspiring. That's very, very inspiring.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing that story. So I think the next question I have is like, so Sacred Groves has a unique approach to conservation through the use of tokenization. Yes. Can you explain how this works and how it benefits both the environment and the guardians who participate?
All right. So now, as I said, we wanted to reestablish the connect with nature, right? So we want, now when we talk about conservation, it seems like such a big topic. But now, so the thought which went behind it is there a way we can democratize conservation? And that is where we decided to leverage technology. I mean, technology is an incredible tool. So what we've done really with our forests is we've created a digital twin. We use Google Earth to, create these images. And then we've used algorithms to derive conservation tokens, right? So if in very, very simplistic terms, we have a piece of land, and we've all used, we've all plotted graphs in our childhood. So if you were to superimpose a graph sheet on a land area, each little box is what represents a token. Each Sacred Groves token is the size of a typical room. It's 158 square feet. Each token is unique. It's a conservation token available for a period of 10 years at a price point of 40 pounds or $50. So it democratizes conservation. And the reason to use, this technology was, now normally when people sort of support any cause, a good cause, it's always on good faith, right? So for example, if there is a program to feed 100 kids, you've contributed a certain sum, and it's on good faith that there were, say 100 children, and the cost of the food was whatever was stated.
And the funds was utilized for the right purpose.
Absolutely. So that's a wonderful thing. But then when we are talking about digital audiences, we wanted that layer of trust, transparency, security, and traceability. So we placed each of the tokens on the blockchain. So any guardian, when they sign up to become a guardian and they access our platform through either their desktops or through our mobile applications, they can see the exact location of the piece of forest that they are supporting. There's the latitude, longitude, the name of the forest, and since when they're protecting, and there's a whole lot of details. It's also an engaging way to see where you are protecting. Trying to build that connect with nature. This is the forest. Here is the little piece that my contribution supports. So this was, the tokenization aspect was really to build that connect.
That's phenomenal. See, and they get to see how that's getting protected. Yes. And, even though you're saying it's valid for 10 years, but when they see the growth on the span of 10 years, I don't think nobody wants to back out. I know I personally, if I were a person who was contributing to it, believe me, I'm like, for me, I feel so, so grateful that I have an opportunity through Sacred Groves to protect Mother Earth. Maybe if it's only a small portion of it, but even then, it's small drops make a large ocean, right? That's what they say. So
what's interesting also, what's interesting is also that the tokens can be gifted. So we have a range of 46 gifting occasions. And interesting example. We had a university in the UAE gift Sacred Grove clusters to their entire graduating cohort. So it makes for a meaningful, planet positive gift. So that was how an institution got involved in gifting. And the other interesting gifting experience I want to mention is that our youngest guardian ever was a 3-day-old baby. So this little baby.
So it was what parents gave as a gift. Yes. Oh my!
So the parents received a gift from one of their friends, received a gift for the baby being born. So by the time this little boy is about 7-8 years old, or when he's a little older, he will be able to appreciate that a small piece of forest was supported and protected in his name. And he will always remember that. It was gifted to him maybe when he was just 2-3 days old. So again,
oh my God.
Here we are, in a sense, competing with a bunch of roses or a bottle of wine. And that is why the price point is, it's not much at all. And
the grand scheme of things, you're talking of 40 pounds is not a big deal. That's something that you
4 pounds a year if you were, in a sense, to amortize it over 10. But and it makes for a meaningful gift.
Oh my God, that's, I think every parent should start gifting that to a child, on his or her birthday, because every
Yes,
child needs to have that sense of protection for Mother Earth
yes,
inculcated right from there when they're young. Today, like you said, people shop for vanity, and kids' birthdays are all extravagant, and I'm not judging anything; it's their parents' choice, but also, parallelly teach them environment conservation in a way, showing that this is so important what you're doing.
absolutely.
And I think that's something which we should start propagating. Students, to all the children. If a child
Yes.
is born, instead of giving, other more, materialistic gifts, just give this. This is amazing.
It's also interesting you say that because we've had companies talking to us about gifting to their employees for employee engagement or for,
Oh,
mindset,
wow.
or you can really gift it on any occasion. So we have,
My
of
God.
course, we have 46 occasions on the platform. We've done corporate gifting where the company has, they could customize their message or whatever. So we are really limited only by our imagination. There
Oh
is
my
so much
goodness.
possible.
Such a beautiful, innovative thought on how we can, bring the community together to
Yes.
safeguard Mother Earth. So I'll move to the next question. It's like so interesting just listening to you. So, how does Sacred Groves identify and secure natural habitats at risk, and what are some of the most significant successes you've had so far?
Okay. So what we do is our objective is to identify biodiverse, old growth natural habitats which are at some danger of being exploited or damaged. So I'm going to tell you the story of the forests we currently have. So we have 2 forests in Wales in the UK and 1 forest in Nova Scotia, Canada, right? Now, both the forests in Wales are old growth ancient oak woodlands. They also represent temperate rainforests. And unfortunately, temperate rainforests cover only 1% of the Earth's surface. We've lost most of the temperate rainforests
Oh my
to
God.
human activity, to various reasons, right? So these forests were up for sale. So we look for forests which are old growth, precious ecosystems up for sale, in which case they are in danger of commercial exploitation, right? So both the forests in Wales are surrounded by pasture land. So if we hadn't stepped in, they would have been deforested for the oak, which is precious timber, as well as they would have just been flattened out for, alternate land uses. So that is the story with the Welsh woodlands. Now, in Nova Scotia, Canada, the forest that we have is an Atlantic forest or an Acadian forest. It has 5 subhabitats. It connects a freshwater lake called Haley Lake to the North Atlantic Ocean. So we have the range of habitats ranging from hardwood forest to a woodland, and we have a marshland in the middle. We have the coastal ecosystem. This forest, the way it is placed, is adjacent to 2 migratory bird sanctuaries,
Oh my
is
God.
a designated UNESCO biosphere. So I'm just telling you the ecological importance of this
The
forest.
biodiversity.
Yes. And at the same time, it was private forest up for sale. Anyone could have gone in there, taken out the hardwood, built a marina on the ocean front, had whatever activities. Because it's private land, you're allowed to do what you like, even if it is ecologically so important, right?
Wow, that's
In fact,
that's a huge, realization, right? Because we always think if it's a UNESCO protected space, you can't do anything. But now you're
it's
actually
private
telling.
land, and
Wow.
hunting is permitted in these areas. So because it is private land, right?
Wow.
So in fact, I wanted to also share in the beginning of December, we received a letter from the Canadian Wildlife Service asking us, what we plan to do with this land, because they must have gone through, all the landowners in the area. So we received a letter saying that this land has all these, they listed out the endangered species that have been found in our area. And they said, okay, what do you plan to do with it? And the government would like to protect and conserve this area. So we wrote back to them, presenting our credentials as a conservation organization incorporated in the UK and, all the work we've done. And the email we received back was so heartening. There's like, you're in a sense taking care of this responsibility, so please continue your good work. So we were really thrilled to receive this email, which listed out all the species, which told us about, that the government wanted to include this land as part of their commitment to protect 30% of terrestrial and marine ecosystems as part of the Canadian government's commitment. So
wow, that is
fantastic.
Amazing. I know.
Huge validation. So that's the story with the Canadian forest. And with our Welsh forest, I am extremely thrilled to inform all our listeners that both the forests have recently been declared National Forest for Wales by the Welsh government.
Congratulations, Monisha. That's such a huge accomplishment,
Yes.
with the journey that you've started, that is getting recognized by
Yes.
the government. So
Yes.
it only validates what you're doing.
Oh, absolutely.
It's so important.
Absolutely. So the Welsh government, we had these liaison officers approach us, in the month, I think, of April, and they said, we've come across your woodland, and we feel it is, eligible to be declared national forest. It was amazing because they found us and approached us because they had seen our woodlands, and they said it is in a pristine condition. So, we had, again, we made the application, we went through all the copious amount of documentation, et cetera. So Coedreal, Sacred Groves Coedreal received the recognition in May, and Sacred Groves Gigrin Prisig, which is our second woodland, received it in July. And in July, we were in Wales, and we had a beautiful ceremony in our forest where the forest officials, where the National Forest for Wales officials were there, and it was just magical. Because 4 years ago, when we purchased the forest in February 2021, that time it was a woodland for sale. Anyone could have done anything with it. So we took this woodland, converted it into a conservation asset, and today it is recognized by the Welsh government as a national forest for Wales. So it's totally goosebumps.
It's phenomenal. I'm telling you, that's such a huge accomplishment, and that also validates that, irrespective of not knowing the entire path of where this was going, you guys just went with your gut feeling and said, this is what we want to do, and put your heart and soul into it. And all what you're seeing is you're reaping the benefits of trusting whatever path you took forward. Oh my God, this is amazing. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you so much. In fact, the background you see is a picture from, is an actual photograph of Sacred Groves Gigrin Prisig.
Oh my God, that's amazing. And you, if you could share some of those pictures, I'll definitely post it alongside this podcast, so that more and more people can understand the impact of, participating in such a initiative, how it's impacting the larger
Absolutely. Good. So every year we have a physical survey conducted of all the 3 forests. And all the images from the surveys are put up on our website, so they are easily available to public. The pictures for this year's surveys, all the 3 surveys happened, a little while ago. So those will be coming onto our website very soon. So yes, they are
wonderful,
gorgeous forests.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So next I have is given your focus on conservation, what role do you believe community involvement and partnerships play in achieving your goals?
Now, I would say all of all of humanity and all the different species that live, we are all citizens of the planet,
Yes.
right? We are part of the planet, and we are part of nature. Nature is.
This is the only home we have. We don't have an alternate home.
Have another home. We do not have another home. It is our home. And the biggest qualification anyone has to work towards making a difference is you are a citizen of the planet, right? I mean, we really commend initiatives like the Welsh government, and they are creating this whole network of woodlands to connect people to nature, right? And they're really doing it in a big way. So it's amazing, but that's like literally on the ground. Now, in conservation, there's one very interesting concept called the Wood Wide Web. We all know of the World Wide
Wood Wide Web. Okay.
Wood Wide Web, which really talks about how old growth ecosystems, old growth forests are connected under the soil through the fungal networks, right? It's a complete world out there. So that kind of network is what we hope to build as Sacred Groves, as a network for the environmentally conscious. Whatever may be your area of interest, you may be, for example, interested in energy efficiency, or you may be interested in conservation or material science, whatever it is. Can we build this community of people who are interested in living, in harmony with nature? See, all of us, we will always have a carbon footprint because we take from the earth, but can we put back as well, right? So thing is that the impact of climate change will be felt by everybody. The past 12, 13, 14 months have been the hottest in human history. They've broken all records. We are all experiencing things like freak climate events, right? We have, somewhere or the other, we've all experienced terrible inconveniences or real scares. So last year, when my co-founder Vikram and I, we were traveling through British Columbia, we witnessed a forest fire ourselves. We were driving to a place called Kelowna from Vancouver, and what we thought was a small orange dot within a short span of time was literally upon us. Now, we were in a car, we were able to turn back and, get back to safety. But that day, 55 people lost their lives to that particular forest fire. And last year, the forest fires that ravaged Canada, release greenhouse gases or release CO2, which was probably, I think I have the figure here, which was 647 million tons of CO2.
Oh my God.
So, I mean, we are losing nature at a crazy pace. Something like, okay, the floods which happened in Dubai in April, so many people were impacted.
So many, oh my God.
Insurance, if we talk about insurance, there are, all our insurance costs are going to go up, because if your car is going to get drowned in a flood, your insurance premium is going to go up. Or if your home is in an area which is
in a flood zone,
prone to floods or wildfires, you are going to pay huge premiums. So, as a community of humans, as humanity, we have to come together to deal with these. All of us will be impacted, no matter what our socioeconomic, cultural, national, whatever status we have. We will all get impacted some way or the other. This year, every year we've been reading about forest fires. We actually witnessed forest fires when we'd gone to see the Acropolis in Greece. So because it's at an elevation, we could see forest fires in different places.
Oh my God.
So it's impacting everybody, and everybody needs to do something.
And I think that the notion, what we as humans generally have is, oh, these kind of things, the governments will take care of. It's not anything related to me. I think that's the switch we all have to have in our mind. because it's this, like you rightfully said when you started this conversation, this is our home. So
Yes,
if something goes wrong in our house, we don't wait for someone else to come and take care of it.
absolutely.
We
Absolutely.
immediately call the right technicians to ensure that that's getting fixed, because we know otherwise we lose our home.
Absolutely.
It should be the same sense, saying that
Yes,
irrespective of wherever it's happening, it's all interconnected. We are all part of
absolutely.
this ecosystem. So we as individuals, what can we do? I'm sure everyone on this earth, we have a role to play in this.
Absolutely.
It's not like only certain individuals, only Monisha can do, or
No,
Preeta can do. There's no such thing like that. I'm sure with our own individual skills and God-given skill set, whatever it is, we will figure out in a way we can contribute to it. It doesn't have to
absolutely.
be a big one, even small way, having ourselves educated. What are the things we're doing to impact negatively Mother Earth itself is a huge thing. The basic education is a huge thing, I think. So, I think mindset is all this is, all what needs to change.
Just to add to that, a very small, a very simple, quote. Nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something, right?
It's very true.
So now when you talk about governments, now everyone, we are 8 billion people on the planet today. If each of us points finger at someone else, nothing is going to get done.
Exactly.
Everybody is responsible. Now, when big business, for example, the biggest, say 70, 100 companies in the world are probably larger than the GDPs of many countries.
True.
So business cannot say it's not my problem. Business will also face the repercussions when you have, for example, crop failures, or you have supply chain disruptions, right? So the impact of climate change is on everybody, whether it's individuals, organizations, governments, what have you. Everyone is impacted. None of us can really escape it, right? So the simple mantra, or which I often quote, is number one, be aware. What's happening around you? Today, we have access to almost infinite resources with the internet. Be aware what's going on. What is happening where? In my home, in my neighborhood, in my province, in my country, in the world at large, right? Second, be mindful. What are the choices that we make? Can we have conscious consumption? So there's this very interesting study done by the Weizmann Institute of Sciences, where they said, can we estimate, this is, I think, December 2020, they came out with this, they published the study. So they said, what would be the weight of nature and what would be the weight of human-built stuff? Okay, so human-built stuff would be all our construction, our beautiful buildings, our aircraft, our cars, our roads, dams,
All
whatever.
the materialistic stuff, what we all have.
All the material that humanity has produced. And what is the weight of nature? So obviously it's an estimation, and they went about it scientifically. So they found in December 2020 that the weight of human-made stuff is 1,100 gigatons. And the weight of nature is 900 gigatons.
Oh my God.
And we know nature is a finite resource.
That's correct.
Right? Now, how do we measure development or progress or growth? We look at GDP. GDP growth year on year on year. Or if it's a company, profit growth year on year on year. Where does GDP or profit, where does it come from? So according to the World Economic Forum, 55% of all businesses depend either moderately or highly on nature. So if we want to grow GDP, we are taking from nature. So nature is diminishing. Now production is increasing. How do you think this imbalance is going to work? It's food for thought.
Very provoking question, right? Because whatever you're building materialistically, you are taking directly or indirectly from Mother Earth.
Yes, all of us,
Everybody, food
everything,
and all that, the house we
all
live in.
medicines, all medicines, all food, all timber, everything comes from nature, right? So this is again something to be aware of. How are we reconciling this? Fast forward to 10 years or 20 years, 2030, 2040. We want GDP growth to really accelerate. But where are we deriving it from? We have to live, work, more consciously, more mindfully. We have to be in harmony. There is nothing wrong with growth, but at what cost? Can we grow in harmony in a way that nature is also preserved, conserved, and nature also grows? We've already overdrawn. So that brings me to the other concept, the Earth Overshoot Day. So the Earth Overshoot Day is the date on which the Earth's capacity to replenish what humanity has consumed is the Earth's capacity is sort of done, or we are, it's reached its capacity.
It's not in the same balance anymore. So we've
So
expected
ideally,
more.
it's like an overdraft, right? So if you consume more than you have, that's an overdraft. Now, if you went to a bank and said, I have 100 pounds in my account and I want 150, the first thing they're going to say is, how are you going to pay it back? Where is it going to come from? But as humanity, we have been consuming more and more and more of the earth. So Earth Overshoot Day, ideally in a year, which is 1st Jan to 31st December, you should consume that much that the earth can put back, and your Earth Overshoot Day should be probably 31st December or 1st Jan of the following year, where you've lived within your means. That date has been coming closer and closer. And this year, Earth Overshoot Day was the 1st of August, which means by 1st of August, we've consumed everything that that was available to us actually till 31st December.
But so 4 months, we're actually overdraft. We're
actually
taking more.
5. It's
5
August,
months, yes.
September. Yeah, it's 5 months.
Oh my
We're
God.
living on overdraft. So that's why I say be mindful, right?
I think everybody around the world also needs to be mindful, right? We, like you said,
Absolutely.
we all are marching towards getting, GDP needs to go high, and, but at what cost, right?
Yeah.
There is no any saturation line there saying humans are saying it's enough.
Yes.
And there's a lot of hoarding happening, people want to hoard wealth and people want to hoard a lot of things, but where is the finite line there saying that this is enough? Because by 1%, a certain percentage of, the world's population trying to hoard everything, and there is so much of imbalance to another part of the population.
Yes.
And then what are we doing there? There is no anyone saying that this is all we need. I don't think that kind of conscious living has not happened at all.
So that triggers actually the next stat, which is that the top 10% of the world's richest, consume the equivalent of the bottom 66%. So climate problem is more a social inequity problem, is also a social inequity
problem.
Right? So all of these issues are in a sense interconnected, because the worst impact is borne by the poorest or the most marginalized. Because when you have a heat wave, the privileged class can't turn on an air conditioner.
They cannot, and they are the poorest people are the ones they impacted. They lose their lives because of heat stroke.
If you live in a home which is built of brick and mortar or a strong material, it will not get wiped away in a flood. Your chances of getting saved in a flood are better. But if you live in a shack next to the ocean or next to a river, it's wiped out. So
and the recent incidents in India.
So social inequity is a part of the problem. We actually, as humanity, have all the resources, all the technology. We have all the means to deal with this problem. It's all there. We do not need any magic wand. We have the magic wands, right? This kind of, this whole situation can also be very, very depressing. So the third part of my mantra is be hopeful. We can do this. We just need the will to do it. We can, right? And how can we do it? Again, a small three-part mantra: your vote, the way you spend, and the way you make yourself heard. Those are the channels. Where are you spending your money? Are you consciously purchasing, stuff that is responsible? Are you voting in responsible government, right? And are you engaging with the right kind of thought leadership and all of that? It's not impossible.
It is possible. Again, it's having that self-discipline to get yourself educated.
Yes.
That's very, very important. Irrespective of whatever age you are, it doesn't mean that, oh, I'm at the end of my life. I don't know. As long as you're using the resources of this universe till the day you're here, you're responsible. You cannot just wash your hands off and say, oh, it's not my job. No, it is your job.
No.
And making the effort to educate yourself and saying, okay, what can I do in my capacity, whatever I have? Like you rightfully said, don't do vanity shopping. Only shop where you really absolutely need. You may have 1,000 wants, but just focus on the needs. And then making sure that taking historical data and choosing the right leaders, very, very important. You as you're living in a democratized world, and because of democracy, you have a right and you have an option to choose the right and consciously make the decision, not just for you, for all the generations which is going to come after you.
Absolutely.
That's so important. And like I said,
when our home is on fire, everyone please pick up a bucket and let's put it out.
That's all. Exactly.
That's it. Our home is on fire. Pretty much.
And having that hope, right? We can do it. We absolutely can do it. And, because if we've seen anything which is in this world, all what we see around us was conceived by the human mind. We've come from Stone Age thus far, which means that the power of the mind is something we cannot even conceive. We're very strong beyond our imagination, but might as well use it for the right purpose.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's why, because climate news can be extremely depressing and upsetting, but it's possible. We always have to chin up and be hopeful.
I 100% firmly believe in that. So I want to pivot to what your company is doing. So your company has developed various innovative initiatives like junk to jungles and conservation commerce. How do these initiatives align with broader environmental goals, and what impact have they had so far?
Okay, so let me start with conservation commerce. Okay, so the proposition really is for organizations to include nature in their commercial value proposition. We've just finished a little discussion about how we all take from nature. Can we find a mechanism where we build nature, right? So let me give you a couple of examples. So the first company that came on board with conservation commerce sells art on Instagram. So they're a small business called Pyar Nation, and they committed for every square foot of art we sell, we will protect a square foot of forest with sacred groves. Very simple math. So they put it into their communication. Of course, they're big on Instagram. And at the end of the month or the end of the quarter, they would see how much art they've sold. And they would support the equivalent sacred groves clusters. Now, when you see the cost of 1 square foot, it comes to about 25 to 30 cents, US dollar cents, which is really nothing much. But it differentiated them, right? So they could go out to their customers and to potential customers and say, we are a responsible business. We are different. Of course, they have pretty designs and they have all of that, and they use sustainable material for their art. But this differentiated them. So they incorporated nature into their commercial value proposition. The other example I want to quote in this case is a jewelry company. Just to give you the range of organizations that could partner. So they approached us through the UN Global Compact and they were looking for fresh ideas for their jewelry. And they have commenced their whole journey of using recycled gold and, sustainable practices for making their jewelry. So we spoke to them and we collaborated. They came out with a range of jewelry called Forest Splendors, which are inspired by our forests. And they
Wow.
have committed that a percentage of sales from this collection would go towards conservation with sacred groves. So they launched in February this year at the Paris Fashion Week. They've had their designs worn at a couple of events at the Met Gala in New York. So they are selling their product, but integrating with conservation, and that is their proposition. So that's what's differentiating them. So the other example, another very interesting example is of a bank, a community bank. We will be making the announcement very soon, so I won't name them. And they've committed that for every 1,000 dirhams that clients save with them or customers save with them, they will protect a square foot of forest. So as people have their deposits with the bank, and as their deposit grows, nature grows.
Oh my God, this is something which I really loved, because that is also encouraging me as a consumer, a retail, consumer. I would like to bank with someone who is, making sure that they are giving back to Mother Nature in a form of conserving the forest. So I would like to bank with them. And
Yes.
that's very encouraging that, financial institutions are coming and finding innovative ways in which they can also be part of this.
Absolutely.
That's
So
amazing.
Thank you. In terms of the broader environmental impact, they align with multiple UN SDGs, right? So they would align with SDG 12, which is conscious consumption, SDG 13, climate action, and SDG 15, life on land. So these 3 SDGs, they would be aligned with by integrating nature and conservation into their commercial value proposition. So this is part of sales. This is not charity, donation, CSR. This is part of business. So as your business grows,
God,
conservation grows.
This is so phenomenal, because everyone who is doing retail business or retail banking, anybody who is in the business of service or selling a product, if only they took a minute to think, okay, a percentage of my profit or
Sales.
Sales.
Percentage of revenue. Yes.
Yeah, so percentage of my sale. Can I make sure that that is repurposed and doing a bigger impact of conserving Mother Earth? And that's a complete shift in your mindset, right?
Yes.
Because and I also feel the current generation, the Gen Zs, and I have 2 Gen Zs at home, so I can speak for that. They're very conscious in terms of what they buy, what they which brand they support.
Yes.
And how they're coming across. Like when recently, because of the unrest in the Middle East, because of the war, one of the chains here, the biggest coffee brand chains, was supporting this war. And my daughter, who is at home, she's a passionate supporter of this brand all her life. It's like if she doesn't go there at least once a day, she'll have an issue. The moment she came to know this, she refused to go there. She said, nope, not just her. Her entire college, community friends said, no, we will not support an organization who is not thinking about the repercussions they're causing. I was completely shocked. I said, you're a person who just cannot live without going to that particular outlet a day, at least once a day. That's how much she enjoyed going there. She said, no, my needs or my wants are much more important than what is happening out there in the world. I will only support businesses which is supporting the greater good. And I was so proud, really proud, because the world is in a better hands, much better than what we were safeguarding the world. Because even clothing, she'll always say, like, I think I have enough, I don't need to buy.
Yeah.
It's not vanity shopping. She's like, no, I don't want to follow the fashion trend, and I don't have I have enough. And this is a 22-year-old talking. I'm like super excited about it. So when you're saying this, I think more and more businesses and individuals should start consciously thinking, is it, am I actually in alignment with Mother Nature or am I off track?
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
More
That's
about
simply
living
amazing.
harmoniously.
Yes.
It's really about living in harmony. That's it.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
so this was Conservation Commerce. Junk to Jungles is an incredible program which tackles two major problems at the same time. So the problem we're talking about here is waste, specifically e-waste. Now, every company or, us as individuals as well, all of us have multiple devices. We would have a laptop, maybe a desktop, maybe one or two mobile phones, and so on and so forth. All of us use electronic assets. That's the way it is, right? Once they are past their useful life, where do they go? It's a very fundamental question. When we started asking each other, or we started asking organizations, you have 500 employees or 1,000 employees or even 30 employees. When you replace their laptops or when you replace that printer or you replace the photocopy machine, where does it go? A lot of companies sort of would put it in a cupboard or in a warehouse, or it would just basically get off-site and vanish somewhere. Not everyone knew where, right? That triggered the question that we have a problem here. So again, quoting World Economic Forum, the weight of electronic waste, which is the fastest growing waste category today, per year is more than the weight of the Great Wall of China, which is the world's largest human construction.
Oh my God.
That is the scale of the waste problem.
That is so alarming.
Specifically e-waste, only e-waste. Okay, so you can Google it. There is a WEF article on this, on the research of electronic waste. A very small percentage of it gets recycled properly, responsibly. Most of it goes into a landfill, which means what? We are polluting land, water, and air. Also, we are mining for more and more materials when all that stuff is sitting in a landfill. We could technically, or we could theoretically stop mining today. All the material is there in the landfill. And when you stop mining, you've saved so many acres of natural habitat as well, right? So we came up with this idea. Let's get e-waste from different organizations. It's easier to do at an organization level because of the bulk.
Volume.
Because of the volume. We put it through, so we built partnerships with resellers, recyclers, put it through the system of reselling, recycling, whatever is in working condition, let's resell it further so somebody else can use it. Let's not just junk it. Or if it cannot be used and it is not in working condition, recycle it responsibly. Now, when it goes through recycling, you get different components. You get aluminum, plastic, ferrous, that which is iron, a small amount of gold, which used to be used in the motherboards, and so on and so forth. All of this has value. It can be sold by weight, right? So the realization from recycling and reselling goes towards conservation with sacred groves, creating circularity. So junk then becomes jungles and everybody benefits. The whole ecosystem benefits, right?
Beautiful.
So this model aligns with a minimum of 4 UN SDGs, which is SDG 12, conscious consumption and production, SDG 13, climate action, SDG 15, which is life on land, SDG 17, which is partnerships for the goals, because we've all come together to create these partnerships and we're achieving these goals. And then depending on the kind of organization, there would probably be a couple more SDGs. This is the general, benefit or the general impact on the SDGs. By really doing nothing, by just responsibly disposing of your waste, it can have such a huge impact.
So I have a question on that, Monisha, a follow-up question. So
Sure.
one thing is we're making sure that, the materials, if it's not salvageable, then we are making sure that the materials are taken and kind of put in different buckets where it can be repurposed and sold in the circular economy. On the
Yes.
other hand, if there are products which is salvageable, but
Yes.
because people want to use the latest and greatest version, they have told they don't want the old version. There is an other part of this world where there are students who would do anything to get hands on a laptop because
Yes.
they are
Yes.
in the very low socio-economic space.
Absolutely.
Because I know there are schools in India, specifically in the villages, in the rural areas, where the government schools don't have the means to buy such kind of technology, and the
Yes.
students want that in this day and
Yes.
age in order for them to
And
get
COVID
the
taught us that
exactly and to
when
even
schools went online.
and even to access information in order for
Yes.
their research, they have to go on the web. They don't
Absolutely.
have a laptop,
Yes.
so they will do anything to get a laptop or even a mobile phone, which is a
Yes.
smartphone. So is there a way for us to channelize these things? Because like you
Yes.
said,
Absolutely.
like Fortune 100 and Fortune 500 companies, it's
Absolutely.
every 3 years they have to upgrade the software, and some of
The
the
hardware.
old hardware will not support the new software version, so they have to
Yes.
have the newest the latest and greatest hardware in order to support it.
Yep.
So what
Yep.
happens to the old one? I don't think the students need that kind of a very latest technology.
Exactly, which is why we have our tie-up with the resellers. So the tie-up we have in the UAE is with an auction platform called North Ladder, which will sell these to other agents or other people who buy it, and then it reaches these places. But if we have a dedicated program, I'm sure we can facilitate a pipeline where
What
it
I'm
goes
curious.
directly to a school or it
School,
goes
exactly.
directly
That
to
is where
yeah,
I think
absolutely,
I'll take it
definitely
offline with you.
possible.
I'll take it offline with you because I
Sure.
do know there are a lot of organizations like really looking for such kind of
Yeah.
donations where the
Yes.
student community, the younger generation, who don't have the mean to this kind of
Absolutely.
technology can be benefited. So that I don't
Absolutely.
think they can even buy, even if it's a second hand, they don't have the resources to buy, but we definitely can give them as donation so that
Sure.
the students can get benefited. Oh my God, that'll be
Absolutely.
amazing. Can you imagine how
Yes.
many
Yes.
children will be
Yes.
benefited out of this?
Absolutely. It's just a matter of the logistics and the redistribution. That's
Yeah,
it.
that's all
So
it
adding
is.
to this is also the movement, which is now kind of gaining a little bit of traction, the right to repair.
Yes, I've read about that.
Right to
People want.
repair, because if you think about the times when we were in maybe the 70s and 80s, with a screwdriver you could repair just about anything. Today
Yeah,
we cannot even we dare not touch anything because of we'll avoid the warranty. Why can we not repair it? I
yeah.
mean, that's again something gaining currency. I
It
just
grow.
hope it becomes a
I
more
really exactly. And growing up, I don't recall my parents even if something goes wrong in the house, like a blender in the house, they don't go and buy a new one. They'll
no,
take it to a repair shop. They'll
and
fix
it
it
will get repaired.
until that guy says its shelf life is gone. Yeah, you have to throw it away. Till then, they
Yes,
use it. They didn't
yes,
have a culture of use and throw back then.
because it's not sustainable.
Yeah,
Produce, consume, waste is not sustainable
sustainable.
at all. How long can we do it? We will only have mountains and mountains of trash at the end of it.
You're absolutely right. So I definitely have to have a conversation with you. So I have another question is,
Sure.
how has Sacred Groves been able to integrate its conservation efforts with corporate partners? And what value does this bring to businesses from an ESG perspective?
Okay, I think I've kind of already touched upon it in the previous question,
Yeah.
where conservation commerce has helped companies differentiate, where they are able to say, we are a conscious company and we are integrating nature into our value proposition and aligning with the multiple UN SDGs, right? Conscious consumption, production, and so on. With Junk to Jungles, again, it's a So it's a corporate conscience in a sense that we are responsibly getting rid of our waste, and we are using and we are supporting forests and natural habitats with sacred groves. So both of these, and with their associated UN SDGs, have an impact for the company as well. Now, if you look at it, now companies are made of people, right?
Yes.
So there are now the younger workforce, like you were mentioning about your daughter, the younger workforce wants to work with at places which have a social conscience, which have purpose, right? So like I mentioned about the gifting. For example, let me give you an example. Company A, participates in Junk to Jungles, also supports with conservation commerce. In fact, we have a company that does that. It's called Lisang Technologies. They're an audiovisual company in Dubai, and they basically have all these huge screens which they lease out to different organizations, whether it is shops or businesses or whatever. So they participate in conservation commerce with us, and whenever their screens are broken or out of commission, they participate in Junk to Jungles. So they, as they have 5, 7, 10 screens or how many ever screens, they make sure it goes through the Junk to Jungles route, and they contribute towards conservation with sacred groves, right? So they have that double-edged prong. Now, their employees, because of these actions, feel like they work for a responsible company. So the employee engagement is definitely then much more.
Yes.
Sacred Grove clusters that they have accumulated with all these activities can be used for gifting to their employees on maybe their children's birthdays or on milestones, like for example, a sales milestone, or you've completed 1 year or you've completed a 5-year milestone. Employee engagement. So it integrates into the culture of your organization, that you're a responsible organization. So I think
it's amazing because again, it encapsulates everything about ESG, environment, social governance, right? And so the organization, even big, small, big, or medium, if they are consciously focusing on the ESG aspects, this is one avenue they can choose, because making sure the employee engagement, the social aspect is taken care of, and the governance, absolutely, you're taking care of all the SDG aspects and environment. Yes. So it's actually encompassing everything what is required to have a healthy organization. That's amazing.
And you've built your culture.
Yes.
Culture is something which is so difficult to build and so difficult to evaluate. It's obviously not something it's not tactile, but you can feel it.
I know, and having worked in the corporate America for a long time, we go through engagement surveys every year, which is a Gallup score, most of the Fortune 100 and 500. And I have had to go through that, because as a leader, that's something that I'm evaluated. And I know, like you rightfully said, the culture is very difficult for you to form. And that is actually the backbone of an organization. And if the culture is not fundamentally set, everything will fall like a brick of wall. So this is a great avenue people can actually choose. So now I want to pivot to, so as someone who has witnessed both the beauty and destruction of natural environments firsthand, what message do you have for individuals who want to make a tangible difference but don't know where to start?
Yeah, I think we've also, discussed this when we talked about the interconnectedness of people with nature, of all of us on the planet. And when we talked about how all of us are impacted by climate change, really, my mantra is everybody can do something, right? So be aware, be mindful, be hopeful. Vote and use your wallet responsibly. Every little thing matters, and it will, once you start doing this, it becomes a part of, it becomes second nature, becomes part of muscle memory. Now, for example, when you go shopping, just carry your bag. Even if you're going to shop for, whether it's vegetables or it is jeans or it is whatever it is that you're going to buy, what does it take? I mean, how many more, whether it's paper bags or plastic bags, we don't need them. You have, bags, maybe 5-7 bags at home, and that suffices for all your shopping needs, whether it's grocery or it is clothes or it is a gadget or whatever you want. Very, very easy to do, but let's do it. Let's make it second nature. So if you have bags in the back, in your car trunk, so simple. Can you walk instead of taking out your car? Or if you can't walk, can you take the bus? Can you take the metro? It's just about training your mind, aware, be mindful, be hopeful. That's it. Again,
Awesome.
you just have to practice it, and it's not difficult at all. And it's not a compromise on your quality of life. Oh, I must share a very, very, very sweet and interesting anecdote.
Absolutely.
So we had 2 summer interns working for us for a month. We have a structured 4-week program. And so in the first week, the intern is supposed to educate themselves, and we give them a whole lot of resources and so on and so forth, and then give us a report on what they learned. In the second week, we tell them, how can you change things in your sphere of influence. And the third week is about how do we scale up as sacred groves. And it's a structured program. Now, one of the interns was a young university student. He was a boy. And he came up with an idea. He said, I've started using aloe vera for shaving. I'm not buying the can anymore. And I'm not, I just get aloe vera from the garden. Basically, you need a lubricant to shave, right? So it doesn't cut your skin.
Yes.
I just get aloe vera from the garden, and my skin has actually become better. I mean, we hear about products which are made from aloe vera. The simple solution. He just goes to his garden, cuts a little slice, and uses it. He has
Oh my God.
what, 10, 12 cans, which he would have used per year of shave foam, which claims to have aloe vera.
Very true. And he's actually using it in a natural form.
Using aloe vera.
Oh my
He's just
God.
using aloe vera. So simple. Or the other intern was a young girl in high school. She built, she talked about her community. She lives in London. And she said, most of my neighbors, we all have little gardens. And there's a shed where kids keep their bicycles. And one of the neighbors came across and said, do you have this particular tool for the garden? Maybe it was a spade or a pruning tool or something. And she came up with an idea of a tool library. So in that little shed, which the entire community of the houses that lived around there, they all used that shed for keeping stuff. So let's have a tool library. So whatever gardening tools you have, let's keep them there. Whoever wants, you use the tool and you put it back. So the 10 houses or the 20 houses in the community are not all buying a full tool set. Everyone doesn't need a full tool set. Use the tools as and when you need and put them back. So with one tool set, or maybe at most 2, the entire community is served. Conscious consumption.
Sustainably, shopping, you're not going and buying.
And you haven't compromised on your quality of life or anything. There's no compromise. The tools are available as good. And it also builds community that we're all pooling
together. Exactly.
It's not like no one can afford it. Yes, you can afford it. That's fine. But why waste? Why waste?
Oh my God, it's so brilliant. Right? Just see what innovative ideas a generation is bringing.
Yeah. So we posted this child, her name is Tanisi Garg. We posted her end of internship presentation on our LinkedIn because it was so well done. And the initiative she's taken in her home and community because she applied her mind. That's it. So
that's
I wanted to share it. That's all it takes.
No, thank you so much for sharing.
What can you do within your sphere of influence?
That's amazing. Amazing. Really, I'm so grateful that you shared that because just, my heart is so full when I hear about younger generation coming up with these ideas because, there's so much hope, like you said,
Of course.
so much hope.
Of course. I mean, they came up with a whole lot of ideas. I've only showcased one by Tanmay, who was the intern at university, and one by Tanisi, who was in high school. So it's age agnostic. I would really say when we all apply our minds, 8 billion minds are more powerful than a handful, right? When we all apply our minds, we all impact our sphere of influence, we all make a difference, and there is that multiplier.
Yes.
Always a multiplier. The sum of the parts is, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts always.
Exactly.
These are the two examples I wanted to share.
No,
Of course,
thank you
we
so
talked
much for
about
sharing.
theory and all of that before. But yeah,
I'm
I
sure
love the
it's
work.
inspiring for everybody. And for me, it is inspiring. I personally would like to meet these children because, what
They
an
are brilliant.
incredible
Yes.
way to
Yes.
come up with these ideas. So for the last question I have for you, Monisha, is looking ahead, what are your aspirations for Sacred Groves by 2030? And how can our listeners get involved in supporting your mission?
All right. So, I mean, I think all of us wish for a utopian perfect world. And why not? Right? Which means all of us have to work together for it. No one person can do it all. So in terms of, say, numbers, our ambition by 2030 is to be able to protect at least 1 million acres of natural habitat. We can't do it on our own. We've got thus far with 3 forests, with the work that my co-founders and I have done. We are 3 co-founders. We've put in literally our blood, sweat, and tears, and all the company is fully self-funded. But we
Wow.
realize it's fully self-funded. Today, our share capital is £1 million. It's completely, that is our tribute to what we think we should be doing in terms of protecting our natural treasures, right? But for us to get to that 1 million acres and beyond, right? 3 forests isn't going to change the climate of the world. But we can start a movement that snowballs into protecting more and more natural habitats. Halting forest degradation and deforestation can offer up to 30% of the climate solution, as quoted by the UN RED. These are all published numbers, right? If we start protecting our national treasures, we can all live in a better world. So again, engage with organizations that are making a difference. We'd love to talk to organizations or progressive organizations that are interested in integrating nature into the way they function. Individuals can get involved with us, get onto a subscription plan, go and see what the apps look like, right? We've built this technology so that it is easy to engage. We've tried to democratize conservation. It's available in the palm of your hand with your phone or on your laptop or desktop. Engage with us, talk to us. Happy to collaborate. That's the only way partnerships is the only way.
Only way to move forward. Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank
We
you
have
so
this
much.
range of solutions. Engage with us.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Monisha, for sharing your incredible journey and the inspiring work you're doing with Sacred Groves. Your innovative approach to conservation and your commitment to protecting our planet's natural habitats are truly commendable. So as final thoughts, would you like to say something more to our listeners before we wrap it up for today?
The world is one living, breathing organism. We are, a part of this whole beautiful planet. It's up to us whether we want to make this heaven or hell. It's in our hands, right? So it's really up to us. We can do it together, and we must, so that this place is absolutely heaven for all of us.
Thank you so much for your profound thoughts, because it's very, very true what you rightfully said. It's in our hands, and we have to make a conscious choice what we want to give back for our generations who are going to come after us. We have to leave this planet much better than we found her. And that's
Absolutely.
the promise we all have to give for ourselves and for our future generations. They are all
Absolutely.
believing that we're taking care of their home, and we might as well not break the promise.
Actually, the biggest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it.
No, not at all. It's us.
We've
got that someone is us.
We have to take ownership.
Yes, we've got to
Just
look
take
ourselves in the
ownership.
mirror. That's all.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you. To our listeners, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Planet Forward with Preetha, Conversations for a Greener Future. If you found today's discussion valuable, please consider subscribing, rating, and leaving a review for a favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us bring more impactful stories to the forefront. Remember, you can connect with us on social media and join the conversation using the hashtag Planet Forward with Preetha. Stay tuned for more insightful episodes where we continue to explore the intersection of sustainability and success. Until next time, keep moving the planet forward. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Planet Forward with Preetha, Conversations for a Greener Future. Together, we're exploring the innovations and stories that inspire us to think and act for a sustainable world. If you're inspired by today's conversation and want to be part of this journey toward a greener future, make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode filled with groundbreaking ideas and actionable solutions. Let's continue to make a difference, one episode at a time. I'm Preetha, reminding you to make every day count for our planet. Until next time, keep moving the planet forward.